welcome to the inaugural session of the Mandal Training Center Blue Table Leadership Chat Series for the year of 2024. The Blue Table initiative was launched in April of 2023, and it has been a platform where we have had the honor of hosting esteemed captains of industry, from Kenan Dube, former chairman of Delta Corporation, to Workmo Chingweta, the current MD of Zimnat Life Insurance, Stanley Muchenje, our very own managing director of AFDIS, to Mats Valela, the CEO of Delta Corporation. We have been privileged to feature such distinguished leaders. Today, we are delighted to have our esteemed General Manager for Corporate Affairs, Patricia Murambinda, who will be guiding us through the insightful topic, Unveiling the Path to Inclusion, Women in Leadership. Patricia brings a wealth of experience to the table, holding a Bachelor of Social Sciences degree in psychology from the University of Zimbabwe, a Master's in Business Administration from the same institution, and Corporate Affairs qualifications from Oxford University in the United Kingdom. With 24 years of dedicated service at Delta, Patricia's journey from a graduate trainee at United Bottlers to her current role as General Manager of Corporate Affairs exemplifies her commitment and expertise in the industry. We look forward to an engaging and enlightening session with you today, Patricia.
Thank you, Titi.
Welcome. It is so befitting in the spirit of Women's Month in March. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, 8 March is the International Women's Day. So it's only fitting to have our esteemed guest, Patricia, to take us through the topic, Unveiling the Path to Inclusion, Women in Leadership. So Patricia, just to kickstart, what are some key barriers that women face, or you believe women face in achieving leadership positions? And how can these barriers be addressed?
Thank you, Titi. I want to put a disclaimer. Because when you wear the corporate affairs hat, it's like you're speaking on behalf of Delta.
Sure.
So today, most of the things I'm going to say are personal views.
Perfect.
Here and there, I'll throw in Delta.
Okay.
And just shed some light. But the good thing is my values and Delta's values are similar. So I don't think we'll diverge a lot from what I'm going to discuss.
Perfect.
You ask a very important question. This issue about equality between men and women is very difficult, to be very honest, because it dates back to more than 5,000 years ago. It dates back to the time of the Bible. For those who read the Bible who are Christians. Who was created first? It was Adam.
Yeah, it's true.
Who was created second? It was Eve.
Yeah.
So the patriarchal society began from there.
Yeah.
So if we are trying to challenge things, we have to go back to almost 5,000 years ago. This is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So if you read the book of life, which is the Bible, men are in charge, they are in control. Women are supposed to submit to men.
Yeah.
This is what we learn, which has become a challenge in this era because our way of thinking, I believe, it has really, really changed.
Sure.
But I think I want to challenge you today to look at things in a different perspective. So when I look at the creation of Adam and Eve, I strongly feel that the creator or the source or the universe, or you term it God, whatever you believe in, wanted a balance of two items. So a man and a woman are supposed to balance each other. This is my own philosophy. This is why you see a lot of things that God has created require balance. Good must exist together with evil. You will never know good if there's no evil. So you have to walk that tight line. Cold and hot, they have to exist together. Yin and yang, positivity and negativity, masculinity and femininity, you name it, a lot of things. So it's about balance. So when I look at this topic of inclusion, from my own world that I come from, I think we should talk about balancing ourselves in society rather than trying to be very aggressive and want to be like men I don't want to be a man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to be a man. So I will leave it at that point.
Thank you so much for that, Patricia. You bring about a very, very good point about balance. You know, over the years, we've talked a lot about empowering women, but have we prepared the men for an empowered woman? You know, one of the questions that was submitted by one of the class members was about, how do I prepare my daughter? And I wanted to even reply that email and say, do you have a son? Have you prepared your son for an empowered daughter? So it comes down to, you know, our culture, like you have said, our culture, including marriage. You must submit to the man. So how in organizations, in Delta, in your opinion, can we foster a more inclusive culture to support the advancement of women in leadership roles?
I think we need to begin to view ourselves as beings that need to complement each other. The moment we shift our mindset to look at each other as complementary, I think in Delta we will begin to move things. Because men tend to exude a character of masculinity more in the boardroom. I've seen it. So they are wanting things to be done, they are pushy, their decisions are so fast and everything. Chasing targets, goals. That's the masculinity character which men portray. When you look at the femininity character, it brings the softer skills to say, hold on, we want to push this goal, but is it the best goal or the best route we are taking to achieve that goal? So that balance is actually required in the boardroom. So for Delta, I would recommend that we work to complement each other as men and as women, and not see each other as in competition.
That's very true. It's not a fight. At the end of the day, we all want to achieve the same thing, and we really need to create a culture, an environment that is comfortable for both the man and the woman to progress. But having said that, Patricia, what programs can companies adopt to increase women representation in leadership roles? I know currently as Delta, we have a lot of Women's Day celebrations that a lot of men have been disgruntled about. What about us? And I said, wait until November. You know, International Men's Day is coming. But in your opinion, what else can companies do to increase women representation in leadership roles?
It's a very difficult question, Titi. I'm part of Leaning Circle America, and I believe America is a very developed country. So when I sit in those meetings and the issues that they are discussing are the similar issues that we are facing as a country, in terms of how can we address these issues to make sure that there's a balance between men and women. And like I said earlier on, this has happened 5,000 years ago. So balancing things in one day, I don't think it's feasible. It's a journey. So if we look at it as a journey and set milestones to say in 10 years' time, this is where we want to see Delta being. We've got very good policies that the government of Zimbabwe has developed. That's what I believe. I think all of us should go and read the Constitution. It talks about 50-50 representation in government, in politics, in companies. But the challenge in Zimbabwe that I see is implementation. So have we implemented the good policies that we've developed as a country? So it not only starts with Delta, but it starts with the country itself. We are lagging behind in terms of implementing the policies that have been put in place. But I like the road that this company has started walking, I think in the past 3 years or so, where I've seen a shift in terms of the way we recruit our employees. For example, graduate trainees, we are now taking 50-50, 50% women and 50% men. So it's up to the women to prove themselves to remain with us as Delta, so that the numbers don't start dwindling when you get to the top. And also the apprenticeship program, which is a very good move that Delta has made a deliberate move to make sure that they are giving us women an opportunity to be employed in this company. So I think it's a very huge step and commitment that this organization
has actually meant. And I've also heard and seen particular positions where they've been reserved for a woman within Delta to say, we are not going to give a man this position, but we are going to deliberately recruit a woman. Those are the steps I think that we require as an organization to try and level the 5,000 year playing field that we have, which is very tough.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. And thank you for that and for pointing out that it's up to us as women to prove that you deserve to be at the top. It's not a matter of just filling a quota. It's not a matter of, like what she said, yes, there are certain positions that are reserved for women. But it's not a matter of, okay, graduate trainee, you've joined us. In 5 years' time, you will fill that quota. It's not a quota filling system. But speaking to the positions that are reserved for women that you have highlighted, someone stated, I note in Delta Mancom, the supply chain director position is the one which has been held by women only. Is it because of the nature of the job, or they cannot handle other positions, or coincidentally, successful candidates for the other positions have been male? What is your opinion on that?
I think I want to correct that statement today.
We've had men before the women that we have seen in the supply chain director position. I've been in Delta, like you said, for 24 years, turning 25 this year. The first person to hold that position was Love Mona Zona in the early 2000s. When we left the organization, the position was held by my boss, Alex Makamore. And after Alex Makamore, Dr. Sam Mushi, you remember him, held the supply chain director position. Then Daud Taranike. Then after Daud Taranike, we saw Cynthia Malaba coming in. Then now we currently have Rose Melengwa. So that position, it's not about whether you're a woman or man, it's about performance. Delta is about performance, and my life speaks to that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I deliberately did not eliminate this question because I think it's very important that in as much as currently we're focusing on women empowerment, we tend to then forget history. We tend to focus on, okay, in the last 2 years, it's just been women, so therefore, it has only been women. And thank you for highlighting that actually, going back, it has actually been men, and women are finally wrestled that position. Thank you so much for that. And it brings me to my next question, still touching on the issue of the quota system. One individual said, with the quota system being implemented in most companies, not just Delta, aren't issues like capability and competence being sacrificed in some cases, with men who could have also thrown their names in the hat for those positions losing an opportunity to also get the position? Is it not the quota system to some extent lessening the effort some women put to compete for the positions?
When I look at Delta, the way the quota system works, it's not independent of performance. I want to make it very clear. So when we recruit even the graduate trainees and the apprenticeship students, they are high quality, even the women. They've done exceptionally well at university level or college or A-level standards. They've done exceptionally well. And when positions come up, we select the best. Even if a position sometimes is reserved for a woman, but when the candidates who come for an interview are not the, the quality of candidates we want, the position is given to a man. We are very clear about that. Because at the end of the day, we want to achieve the Delta vision. We want to achieve our goals. We are not going to just give positions for the sake of giving positions. We have to work for it. And success comes through working.
That's true. I think it's so important to highlight that as Delta, speaking from a Delta's perspective, we are performance driven. It has nothing to do with your agenda. Are you performing? Even from, like you have highlighted, we cannot really speak on behalf of other organizations and their culture. But I think Patricia has really highlighted over and over again, are you performing or are you not performing? And just speaking to that and following up on that, there's a lot of perceptions that women, when we get to the top, we tend to forget our fellow younger sisters. How can we support each other to climb the ladder for women?
Very topical question, and personally, I feel sometimes it's true because I've experienced it. Where you've got your sisters who have gone before you, they've been promoted, and the least you expect is for them to guide you, to show you the road that they've walked. And we tend to see that we are our own enemies as women. When we get to the top, we don't want anyone else coming to the top. We actually celebrate to say, I'm the only woman who sits in the board. I've heard women saying that, and I said, you're celebrating that? Why are you not pulling your sisters up? Yeah. So it's something that we have to really work on as women. And I'm not talking at senior level management only, but even at low level management. You know, we gossip as women, we pull each other down, we talk about this person is sleeping with this person. Do you even have the evidence? If you see them together, I don't know where we get those stories. It's just to kill someone's dignity and pull them down so that they are not able to perform because they are carrying a certain baggage that maybe the Delta community is seeing in them. So we really need to address that number one thing. As women, I'm leaving men out. Sometimes we are our own enemies. I've made a commitment to say, whatever I've learned, I will share with my sisters. And I've got quite a number of mentors within Delta and outside Delta. I don't know whether it will help you, but I'll show you the roads that I've walked. And it might work for you. And in future, when I leave the work environment, I'll be very proud to have uplifted quite a number of women.
No, I completely agree. Sometimes, if not most of the time, we are our biggest enemy. I will be afraid to approach Patricia and say, you know, I'm struggling with this and this. Can you give me some advice? Because I saw you standing with some certain gentleman and I think, oh, that's how she got her job. And yet that's not the case. If we're being really objective, Delta is male dominant. So the chances of you being seen with another gentleman discussing business. Discussing business. Can we highlight that? Discussing business.
It's very high. Exactly. We are only 16%.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So 84% are men. So if I see you sleeping with a man or talking to your boss who is a man, are you sleeping with them? I think we need to get that mindset out of our brains because I'm corporate affairs. Yes. Quite a lot of stories. So I think if we address that as women, not only within Delta, even in other corporates and as a country, look at how we pull other women down on social media, especially those who are trying to get into politics. Yes. And look at the number of women contesting to become MPs in Zimbabwe. It's dwindling. Why? Because people are scared. The vulgar language that people use against you as if they know you. But to a male counterpart, they will never say the same things. Never. And what is said is it's other women who are actually denigrating another woman. I still don't understand it.
It's very difficult to understand because that very same person, that very same woman who's complaining and accusing you of sleeping with XYZ is the same one who will complain that I'm not getting an opportunity to be promoted because I'm not sleeping with XYZ. But I always say this to our classes. Don't be afraid to sit with the decision makers. And because we're male dominant, the decision makers are male. And the nature of our organization, you know, we are a beverage organization. So in the social settings, at our events, there will be drinks involved, but having one beverage, a Zambezi or a glass of White Stone, with the marketing director, for example, does not necessarily mean that I'm sleeping with him. It does not necessarily mean that if that same person who was in the panel interview, for example, those are not the issues that come about, that someone gets promoted or gets a position, the panel is male. And the assumption is she's sleeping with one of them. We really need to crush these barriers and these stereotypes because it then makes it very difficult as that woman to then pull up the fellow sister, the graduate training.
Because you are already hurt and damaged.
Exactly.
And then you tell yourself, why should I pull them after what they say? You know. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we need to be good to ourselves.
We really do. We really do. And just moving on, it's a very topical issue. Does equal pay apply for male and female counterparts, in your opinion?
I'll start with the world, Zimbabwe, corporates, and then zero into Delta. So, like I said, I sit in the learning circle in America, a very topical issue where there is no equal pay largely in most corporates in America. And people get emotional about those things to say, but I'm working 10 times more than my male counterparts, but he's earning 3 times more than myself. So it's their landscape, and I wouldn't know a lot of details around that. Then we come to our country, Zimbabwe. I've heard it in the spheres that I operate, where they talk about men in the same grade as a woman any more than their female counterparts. But in Delta, it's equal pay. It's about performance. So I'm very confident to tell you and to tell everyone here that there's equal pay between males and females within our company, which is a huge achievement because, like I said, in America, it's a very topical issue where these issues are actually surfacing. And it even goes further where there are racial issues, where your white people earn more than the black person. So a lot of dynamics happening in that world, but I'm happy with the strategic direction that this organization is taking to make sure that there's equal pay between males and females.
Very true. Very true. And I think that clarity really then helps us as an organization, as individuals, both male and female, to really just focus on your personal performance and not focus on gender. Focus on your performance and you will achieve. Ultimately, that's what you are saying. So in what ways do diverse leadership teams contribute to organizational success? And how can businesses encourage greater diversity in their leadership ranks?
I think diversity is very important. I think it would be boring to have all men sitting in GMC. Yes, in the Delta Corporation board. So that femininity is also required, where you bring a bit of balance when they are shouting at each other, and you say, guys, what are you doing? Relax. You don't need to be at each other's throats. So that balance, I always believe, is very necessary. And women, we are authorities when it comes to being organized, being administrative. And I think we complement our male counterparts very well in those softer skills. So a board would require both females and males so that we complement each other when it comes to competencies, capability, and skills, because we bring different things to the table.
Very true. So just maybe I'm taking us back, but I would like to ask this. What strategies can women employ to navigate gender biases and stereotypes in male-dominant industries? I ask this because you have been very influential in my journey. Whether you know it or are aware or not, you have been very influential in my journey. So based on perception and what I had observed, I did employ some of your strategies without you having to tell me. So what would you say to the ladies in this room? What strategies can women employ?
For me, it was about a mind shift. I want to be very honest. I used to blame others. I used to say, I'm not getting promoted because the boss doesn't like me, he favors this person, all these things we were talking about earlier. I used to think about it when I was growing up. So later on, I sat down, and the revelation came through Napoleon Hill for me when I read his book, Outwitting the Devil. So I began to realize life is about thoughts. It's about what I think between my 2 ears. Am I seeding positive thoughts or negative thoughts? Why should I always look at things from the outside perspective, not the inside, and begin to change myself as a teacher? Think positively. And when I began doing that, things just started falling into place. It works, guys. But I don't know how it works. Maybe the universe responds. And I remember us having that particular discussion. And look, the things are shifting. I can actually see that. So it's about the mindset. It's not about worrying about others. It's about worrying about yourself. Changing the way you think. Developing yourself. Personal development is not about Delta bringing you to Mandela. If you think you will develop by waiting for Delta to bring you to Mandela, I think you'll be stuck in the same position for the next 10 years and you'll be the most frustrated person. And when you see young people who are active, you want to kill their career because you didn't make it in your own life. Secondly, I don't know this notion here in Zimbabwe to think that if we've got so many degrees, we are educated and you can do everything. When you go to the first world countries, huge corporates are run by people without degrees. I want to tell you the truth. Yes, degrees are important, but there are other personal development skills that you need to acquire as an individual. Life is about relationships. Business is about relationships, for example. So how do you communicate with others? What messages are you sending out to others, for example? Are you a good communicator? If you don't have that skill, why not develop that skill? So personal development, it includes a whole lot of things rather than just having an education or being called a doctor. We've got so many useless doctors.
That's true. That's very, very true. And thank you for highlighting that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really about your mind. And it really then brings me to the next question about someone asking, how can women be included in male-dominant jobs like artisans and drivers? It's a mindset. If you are determined to become the best driver, if you are determined to become the best artisan, what should stop you? Yes, 90% or 99% of the artisans and drivers within the organization are male, but has it been said anyway that no, it cannot be a woman? So nothing should stop you.
You know, I was reading one of the papers, I think it's the Herald this week, of this truck driver who is the female. And she's changing the world in your own sphere. So it's about your mind. You can get any job that you want. That's what I believe. It's about setting your goal and working towards achieving it.
And being very, very intentional. You are very intentional about your day. You wake up and you work out, you meditate. Very intentional. You spoke about how the universe then just responds. Yeah. When you throw the positive things out there, the universe will respond. And give you what you want. If you are throwing out negativity and say,
it will come later.
And then you'll pay the bills.
For those who read the Bible, you know when Jesus spoke about you should forgive someone 70 times 7. And he said, why? Only was trying to say, don't send out negative things to others because they will come a millionfold to you. So these days I'm very conscious about what I say about others, even what I think. When a negative thought about someone comes through, I quickly tell myself, Patricia, no, it's not right. Because I know it will come back to me 10 times.
That's the thing. So we really need to be intentional, ladies and gentlemen, about our thoughts. I do want to just maybe just hear your opinion on I know I touched briefly on it. The one gentleman said, I have a 2-month-old daughter. How best can I mentor her, guide her to compete in leadership and not get into position of leadership through quota system? As in by the time the quota system is used, she would already be there and not get into leadership to balance the quota.
What I will challenge this gentleman to do first is to teach his child self-love. Most of us, we don't love ourselves. I'm a fan of Louise Hay. She's the one who told me the mirror works. Where you stand in front of the mirror and you tell yourself, Patricia, you look beautiful. You are lovely. Why should people compliment me? I compliment myself. I'm beautiful.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. What advice do you have for someone who aspires to be general manager of corporate affairs one day? What are the key skills one needs to focus on?
Corporate affairs is about relationships. It's big on relationships. So I deal with, for example, government relations. So you need to know how to communicate with governments. I deal with regulatory affairs. So the regulators, you need to know how to deal with your liquor licensing board, your Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, your Zimbra. So various stakeholders, including your employees, your customers, your suppliers, your BMOs, all those people. So one critical skill in corporate affairs is about relationships. You have to be always smiling. And people ask me, why do you always look happy? You can't afford not to smile because everybody's watching you. All your stakeholders are looking at whether you are approachable or not approachable. So if you are not a good communicator, you don't exude that happiness and joy, they will shut the door, not only on you, but on Delta, and you will not be able to achieve your goals. I think that softer skill is very, very important. And I believe you must be very versatile. Corporate affairs has plunged me into areas that I never thought I would be.
I never thought I would be reading
statutory instruments, acts, bills. I'm not a lawyer. I have to read them and understand them. I'm very intelligent when Delta sends me to speak to these people. So I had to invest into developing myself into the law area. I'm studying law at the moment. To just equip myself. So it's another critical skill that I feel is required. And having had come from marketing, I think marketing also helped me to run with corporate communication. So I run with the mother brand, Delta Corporation Communication. So it really does help. You must also be very good in the English language commands because you are speaking in public. You are speaking before ministers, the president himself, and you are communicating on social media, so your grammar must be like the Queen's grammar or the King Charles' grammar. Otherwise, people will quickly pick those areas if you make mistakes. And for a brand like Delta Corporation, it becomes an emergency. It does if you are not good at speaking the English language. So you need to invest in your vocabulary. I joined Toastmasters to just enhance my public speaking, but I know there are quite a number of groups that they are where one can actually join and equip themselves in public speaking in the good command of the English language. And I know HR, you do encourage employees to join Toastmasters as an example. So those are some of the skills that are required in corporate affairs. And of course, at the moment, ESG and sustainability has become very topical, and I'm responsible for ESG and sustainability for the business. So I've invested time in reading about sustainability and what we need to do, and also joined organizations that talk to sustainability. So I sit in the Council of the Business Sustainability Council of Zimbabwe, where I learn from peers on issues relating to sustainability. Yeah.
And that's a very key point you raised. Learn from peers. But if you're not putting yourself out there into those circles, you'll never learn.
You'll never learn.
If the only person I'm exposing myself to is Patricia, I will reach a saturation point. So really, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I now you've explained to me, because I'm always like, Patricia's always so happy. How does she do it in this environment? How does she do it?
Delta is not to have.
And speaking on that,
It's tough to become a face of a company.
I was about to say.
It has changed very much. You are not supposed to be seen in certain places. You are not supposed to associate with certain people. You are not supposed to dress in a certain way. You have to dress in the Delta way. You have to speak in the Delta way, even at home. You have to do that in your personal space. I can't afford to just go outside the gates, not dressed properly, because you don't know who's seeing you and they're taking a picture of you. Then it goes viral on social media. So it's very difficult to be the face of a company. You have to forgo certain things and align your values with that of the company.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, it's where I was going to take it. That you're the face of Delta. So literally every move you make, you are being watched, and it can be. It's not even just being watched by Max or Alex or Delta. It's being watched by the world,
by the public. And the court of the public opinion.
Yes. Oh yes, and social media. They'll take it to social media very fast.
Very fast.
Very fast.
Very fast.
But Patricia, what values are important to you as a leader, and how would you describe your leadership style?
I really value originality, being authentic.
Yeah.
For me, it's number one.
Yeah.
I want to be Patricia. I don't want my soul to be suppressed to be someone else.
Yeah.
I've told myself that. And to certain people actually say, you're beginning to suppress Patricia.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I believe in being original because I believe that there's a black box inside each of us that was placed by the Creator, where you're supposed to sing your own song. The experiences that you go through life are meant for you to sing that song. So I don't want to come to the end of my life when I'm now lying in the coffin and regretting anything about this world. I want to have sung my song to the fullest. I want to have identified my own talents, my own gifts as Patricia. So originality for me comes in as number one. Number two, I love integrity and just being honest. And that's me. I don't like people who lie, people who do shortcuts and all those things. I freeze because those values were not instilled in me. Then thirdly, I love beautiful things in life. Beautiful. So I take time, the way I dress.
So they feel good.
Feel good.
Exactly.
The food I'm eating, is it beautiful? And all that. I'm going to beautiful places and just exploring this world. So it's another value that I really got jealously. And also accountability. I always want to be accountable for my actions and not blame anyone. And I love accountability because it speaks to Delta as well. I have to be accountable for my actions and not blame anyone else. So those are some of the values that I chase as Patricia.
Well, that's amazing. That's really amazing because, there's only one you. And no one needs to replicate Patricia. No one needs to replicate Tsitsi. She's already doing her job. She's already unapologetically Patricia.
Bring your style to your job.
Exactly. And be unapologetic about it. And also just remember, guys, the days are not coming back. The days are
they
not
move
coming
so
back
fast.
so fast.
I was telling myself, sometimes I think I'm old. I can't even exercise the way I used to do 20 years ago.
That's the thing,
yes. Time moves
so
very
fast.
fast.
So
And
fast.
before you know it, you're saying goodbye to Delta.
True.
So what legacy are you leaving behind within Delta?
Yeah, that's so important. What legacy are you leaving behind? I think maybe at this point we could just throw it to the floor. If anyone has any burning questions that has not been addressed or something that has come up out of this conversation, do we have any questions from the floor? Yes, go ahead.
On the composition of women as the top there, I think we should start with the Delta Cooperation Board. How are we aligned to what we are doing. How many women are there in the board, and what is the strategic intent of the board to have that addressed? Because it will be very difficult to preach on top of the mountain, but I ask the church congregants to be on the top of the mountain, but I'm not available to be with them. We should view it from that angle. Oh, the board is now 50-50. I mean the Delta board. Then we come to the operations board, the GMC. How are we aligned with that?
Like I said, it's a journey. It's not a one-day event. But I'm very happy to say in the past 6 years when I've been in corporate affairs, I've seen a deliberate move on our Delta board to increase the number of women on that board. So currently we've got 3. Lucia representing AB InBev, Dr. Charity Jinya, we've got Emma Fundira. So those are the women we currently have on the board, which was maybe something that was not there maybe some 15 to 20 years ago. So it has been a journey. At least we have started somewhere. And even if you look at our group management committee, I think for the longest time, we've had only 1 female sitting in GMC. But currently we've got 2 females sitting in GMC. You can see that deliberate move of including women in GMC. It's a journey. We will not be at 50% like yesterday. But after some years, provided as women we perform, we will be able to take up those positions.
Sure. It's definitely a journey because it's also a mindset change that the women that have been there present, we also need to change our minds that I can do it. I can perform. I can be part of the board. I can. So I think it's very important to also look at the history, like Patricia is saying, that if we look 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what was the composition like? It may be perceived as slow progress, but it's progress. I think we're taking steps in the right direction. We definitely are.
So the challenge is to the big red women.
Exactly.
What are they doing to develop themselves and be noticed to get into GMC?
True. Very true. Very true.
Or they are just comfortable sitting in their positions.
Yes.
The ball is in their court.
The ball is in their court. I can't agree more. Anyone? Yes, PJ. And then I'll come to you.
Thank you, Tsitsi, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm really touched by the self-love aspect. So before I take it to the girl child, I've taken it to myself. All right. So my question here comes. We've got a number of women, the 16% that we have in our organization. Some have been discouraged, some have been labeled, some are downtrodden. They would not aspire to get to the next level. How do you think, from where you sit, this gospel that we have had here should be preached to the lowest level employee who is a sweeper, who thinks they will sweep for the rest of their career in Delta? They also need to be accounting officers, to be assistant accountants, to be engineers, but they're still seated there. Quite inspired by you. You are a general manager, for goodness sake, but you're saying you are still ready for a degree. But someone who is an officer says, I've arrived. How do we preach to all those? Because, like I always say, Mandela is not for everyone. Thanks.
Thank you for that. One thing that I want to tell us, Tsitsi, is never say never. And when people say no, don't accept it.
True.
The issue that you raised of being labeled, I was once labeled. In 2001. An email was written, and this is a small little Patricia who is about 22 years old.
Wow.
What actually happened in that incident, I was a sales manager for one territory. So my colleague, who was a sales manager in a bigger territory, which was covering all this part of Harare, was supposed to go on leave.
Okay.
So there was a sales rep who really thought she was going to act in that position, a woman. And I don't know why the decision was made to say no. I think this time we'll allow Patricia to cover the two territories as sales manager. Oh my goodness.
It did not go down
I
well.
didn't know that it had egged someone. I come to work as usual. I'm sitting in my office. The general manager for sales then, Sydney Mazwi, comes to my office, looks at me, and I'm so innocent. I don't know what has happened. Then he says, come to my office. And I went to his office. And he said, you know what, Patricia, there's this email that has been sent to GMC.
Wow.
Remember the GMC of that time. It was Pat Rooney was still there. Pat Rooney, Jom Tiswa, I think Rob Mansell, Alistair Wright. It was mainly white people in GMC. And what did she write in that email? What does Patricia have that I don't have?
Wow.
Who is she sleeping with here? When I was shown that email, I was shocked. You are young, you are energetic, and you think you are doing well at work.
Exactly.
There is an email that you are being shown.
Sure.
I cried that day. I
imagine.
remember. I cried because I hadn't done anything wrong. So they ended up, to cut the whole story short, they ended up giving me the position to act in that role as a sales manager. But it devastated me, to be very honest. It did. But later on, I got counseling from our HRI director at that time then, Chidama here, who then said to me, Patricia, don't be dejected. You are good at what you are doing. If opportunities come within the whole of Delta, you are free to apply and leave the Coca-Cola side of things. And fortunately, I think 6 months down the line, the marketing opportunity came up at Lagos, and I applied for that, and I moved on, and I restarted my career. But that lady didn't even last in Delta. She was actually fired for a misconduct. So it happened. But I think you need a support system, firstly, within the organization. So who are you looking up to? Someone who is very confidential, obviously, whom you can talk to, who can advise you on what to do, the next steps to do. And from there, once you've got that support system, you are able to bounce back. So your network is very important. Your connections. Don't be a loner within the company. So this is what I'm encouraging my fellow sisters to do. You'll be labeled. And it didn't even stop there. Even when I was in marketing, I was also at that time labeled some director. Then I just said to the person, can I go and tell the director that this is what you're telling me? And they were scared.
So I think that's very important.
Sometimes you just have to
be brave enough to stand
up to them.
Stand your ground, because you know who you are. You know who you are. I think it's very important, guys. At the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you whether you are going to conform to the accusations, the labels, or you are going to use those as weapons to build yourself. And because you really could have just decided, okay, let me sleep around, because you already think that anyway. I might as well. And look what happened. You know, when that lady was putting out negativity out into the world, she then got fired. She got fired. So whatever you put out into the world, like Patricia said, it will come back 10 times. So exude positivity, exude encouragement, and it will come back to you 10 times. Speaking to your point about the sweeper, ladies and gentlemen, the sweeper is just a position, but that is a person. So treat that person with the same level of respect that you would the CEO. Okay, I think ultimately that it comes down to that. We have one more question.
Thank you. My question is on the quota system. It's more follow up. Are we doing anything? Maybe I have in the supply chain. I see maybe if we just say we want 50-50, for example, in this role, be it for artisans or engineering, and we're not doing anything in the supply side, then we might possibly fall into challenges. For example, we might go to university and find that an engineering class would be having 20 students, then 17 of those being male. And then at recruitment stage, now when we say 50-50, we might, and every other company probably maybe doing the same, then we might have some bottlenecking happening there. So we're doing something to maybe in the lines of career guidance. I've seen some countries even going as low as primary school, sending some professors there or some representatives from industry to catch them young at primary school, secondary school, so that when they grow up, especially the girl children, they know that we are not only confined to these departments or these careers, but we can do whatever we want to do. So that is essentially my question. Say, is it something that we are also looking into, probably in the long run?
Currently, as Delta, we are involved with universities. So universities do have career guidance experts. Your University of Zimbabwe, your NAST, and they call us. And we set up there to talk about careers in Delta. And we use that opportunity to also encourage the girl child to have an interest in joining our organization. We haven't gone much to the extent of secondary schools or primary schools, but here and there, where I've been called to talk to the girl child, I certainly do so. Like on Monday, I'm going to my former school, Monte Cassino, Girls Eye. There's a club they are launching for the girls there, and they want me to be an inspirational speaker to the girl child and encourage them to go all the way to university and probably maybe to join Delta.
Yeah, that would be really lovely.
I just wanted to add to what you said to the last part, that was asked in the last question. We worry about positions, especially in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Don't worry about position. It's just a position, and when you die, you leave all those positions behind. This is why most people find it difficult when they retire, because you're carrying this position, general manager, corporate affairs.
Yeah, that's true.
Positions are just positions, just to put structure to society for it to be functional. You can lead without a title. And I have Robin Sharma as my mentor, and is big on that. That even if you're a sweeper, you can make your sweeping job so exciting that it's the whole world to you. And you live a fulfilled and meaningful life. When you begin to chase positions, you will never be satisfied in life.
Very true.
You will never, because I will become CEO. Then what next after CEO? I want something else. Enjoy the position that you currently have and that you have been given. Make it big, grow it. I've grown from corporate affairs. You know how corporate affairs was 6 years ago. Because I enjoy it. And sometimes I'm being recorded and my boss might watch this.
We'll edit it.
No, don't worry. I spoke to him yesterday. I actually said, I'm doing a third. I'm putting a third of my energy into this. What if I just go 2/3? In corporate affairs? What if I go 3/3? I think people will scream, because I make sure that I enjoy what I do and I expand that role, and it's fulfilling to me. It is. So are you enjoying the position that you currently have, that you have been given? What value are you bringing to Delta? Or you're busy worrying about money and all that. My salary is kukwana and money chases value. When you begin to bring value to Delta, money will begin to follow you. it works.
It does.
John Rim says
Yeah,
it.
it does. It really does.
It does.
And I really am excited that you brought that topic, that you make your work fun. And we are very privileged and fortunate that our CEO supports innovation.
Innovation.
He supports entrepreneurship. So in your current role, what are you doing to make it exciting? What are you doing to make yourself excited to wake up in the morning? Our CEO says you are the best people. You're the best person for that job that
For
you
that
have.
job.
So what are you
Imagine
doing?
somebody out there is busy admiring you.
Exactly.
To say, I want that job, and you are busy mourning about that job. Have you compared with best practice
Exactly.
in whatever company in the world, whether it's Coca-Cola or AB InBev, in that particular role, and see how you can expand it? And when you begin to expand it, come back and tell me it doesn't work and they are not seeing you.
So this is a challenge to everyone. It's a challenge to everyone. You're the best person for your role. How are you being innovative? How are you making your job fun? Any last question before we ask Patricia for any pearls of wisdom? Our final question, Goodzy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming through to share what you've shared. Some of us didn't actually know you've been in the organization for 24 years. It's like years, not that some of us have been alive. My question, though, leans more on your personal life. So I know Delta is quite heavy in terms of requirements and in terms of what you need to put in for your job and to excel, and having seen your career progression that was being done there, you must have been doing a lot of things right and putting in a lot of time. So the question then is, also with the changes that you have mentioned to your character and who you've become, how has your family taken it? And in terms of managing the work-life balance, how have you been doing it?
You know what? I never left my family behind when I was changing. So when I began reading from Napoleon Hill, we've got a family group. I said I will start educating my family on the spiritual awakening that is happening to me, so that they don't begin to question my behavior. I remember my youngest son is now in university, used to laugh at me. You know, when you do affirmations, and it's sort of, I love myself as Patricia, I love, and I'm walking around the house, and she was saying, I think you're going cuckoo, you're mad. I didn't understand. You didn't understand. But now he says, but Mom, I think it works because you've changed along the way. So I never left them behind. And I would force them to read the books. I'm an African mother, and I want to say the truth. I always wonder, the mothers of today who leave their kids to do whatever they want. My boys, I'll beat you. As long as I'm still alive and you are my son, I'll beat you. So I forced them to read the books I was reading. And I also walked the journey of meditation with them. So when I was doing my meditation training, I practiced Raj Yoga meditation and Zen meditation, breathing exercises to center myself, to manage my emotions so that I'm not angry. And I went for those lessons with my family. We went as a family, and Janita from Brahma Kumaris in Milton Park took us through everything as a family. So I think it's important that you do not leave your family behind. Delta is demanding. I started off in sales, very demanding. We were required to be at work at 6 o'clock. I'm not so sure whether it's still happening at the moment at Coca-Cola, at 6 o'clock in the morning. Every day, including Saturday, including Christmas Day, to make sure that those trucks have gone out. I've done that. But you work smart. I believe in working smart. So up to this day, I work very smart. So I make sure that I've got an 8-hour window to do Delta work. And I will make sure that I do Delta work. And the key, andiite
Yes.
zvimwe zvinhu.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we waste time doing unnecessary things. Then after 4:30, you realize, oh, I've got this report which I haven't done. Maybe because you were chatting with colleagues in their offices.
Yeah.
I sit in my office. I think people can attest to that. When I'm moving out of my office, I'm going to consult my boss about something, or I'm going to the bathroom. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I want to be free at 4:30. I've made sure that I want personally to be free at 4:30, where I don't worry about Delta work. I'm now having my me time and my family, the same as during the weekends. And if I am free that particular weekend, some weekends are taken up because I'm doing Delta work, but I make sure that I enjoy it. It's speaking to me, my values, so that it doesn't look like work.
Exactly.
This is how I've been balancing myself. So time management is very important. And I did DSM, the Dimensions of Successful Management by Paul J. Mayer. Is big on my time. And I've got that journal where I plan my week on a Sunday to say my week is going to flow in this direction. As I was growing up in my career, I used to fill up my diary with unnecessary meetings. Just because maybe I want to please people, and it became overwhelming, those meetings. So I've pruned unnecessary meetings. And if you call me, what is it about? Can we discuss so that I see whether it's necessary for us to meet or not? Maybe you're asking for something that I know Delta doesn't sponsor. So why waste each other's time in setting up a meeting of something that will never happen? So I've eliminated all those things in my diary. I plan my week, I plan my month, and every day between 3 and 4, I'm planning for the next day. So this is how I work. Yeah.
Those are some important nuggets, ladies and gentlemen. For those who like to complain, my boss is looking for me after 5 o'clock, 8 to 4:30, do your job. Give your boss what they want. They will not look for you after 4:30 because what are they looking for? Unless it's an emergency, of course.
Of course.
But and another angle is communicate. I really love that. Communicate with your family. Have them understand your job and each step you're taking in your life. That way they can support you.
And groom them everything, because I've seen men remarrying at the age of 55.
Oh, wow.
Now you're going to these cocktails and events. You're embarrassed to go with your original wife because she's no longer looking like very Pauline sitting there. Very true. And I always blame men to say, why didn't you groom your wife as you were rising the corporate ladder? Because if you were grooming her, obviously she would be changing and she will fit into the position where you are at that moment.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Patricia. As we come to the end of this really fruitful conversation, do you have any pearls of wisdom you'd like to close off the interview and just leave with the classes?
Schooling, personal development. You stop learning when you die. Things are evolving. The world is changing very fast, unlike maybe 100 years ago. So if you don't develop yourself in whatever area, you'll be left behind. And even younger people will come and overtake you, and you'll become very frustrated. So I'm a fan of personal development. And I will develop myself until I die, because one thing that I've discovered, there is so much to learn. You know, sometimes you spend time in nature and you begin to say, oh, there are so many plants. I want to learn about this plant. What does it do? What are the benefits? There are so many things to learn about. So please learn. And let's use Mandel. There are some bosses who send their subordinates here to Mandel. Then after 2 hours, come back to work. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. Why people don't value personal development. I've done more than 300 courses courtesy to Delta through Mandel Training Center. It has developed me. So this is what I would leave for you and everyone else on personal development.
Thank you so much, Patricia. This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I'm sure everyone in the room can attest to the fact that we are going to put in our best efforts to include women, unveiling the path to inclusion, women in leadership. I'm sure 5 years from now, we'll have someone else and you'll be looking back and saying, oh, I was talking about 3. Now we're at 50-50. Mm-hmm. So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our Blue Table interview. Thank you once again, Patricia. Let's have a lovely day and a lovely weekend. Thank you, team.
Thank you, Sisi.